Hare Krishna, Radha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika from Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shyama Gauri Devi Dasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shyama Gauri Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is there anyone else who would like to introduce themselves? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody else who would like to introduce themselves?
Mataji starting the recording.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Is Prabhuji online, Mataji?
Yeah, he's there.
Oh. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are fortunate to have His Grace Satchitananda Prabhuji to enlightening on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam 4.30.29 and 30th onwards. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dhanavad Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for giving your very valuable time and association to this morning. Enlightening is on the topic of Bhagavatam. I would like to hand over call Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshutarine Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So I will start with Jai Radha Madhav. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राम माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, 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 Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Srila Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Gurudev. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnuvad Paramahansa Parivajakacarya Stottaranga Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya Acharya Guruvar Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय श्री वृंदावन मायापुर धाम की जय पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र वियोगिनी क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय समावेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. शृण्वन्ता स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनम् हृदयन्तस्त भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी निगमकल्पतरुगलितं फलं सुखमुखाद्रवमृतं संयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकभुवि भावुका आराध्यो भगवान् व्रजेशतनयस् तद्धाम वृन्दावनम् रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधूवर्गेण तया कल्पिता श्रीमद्भागवत पुराणमलं प्रेम पुमर्थो महान् श्रीचैतन्य महाप्रभुर्मतैलं नायत्र आग्रहकरः आजानुलम्बितो भुजौ कनकायवधातो संकीर्तने पितरवो कमलायताक्षो विश्वम्भरो द्विजवरो युगधर्मपालो वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरो करुणाय अवतारो पतितपावन निताय गौर सुंदर की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our Gaudiya Acharyas. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. So, first of all, I thank the Sangha for inviting me and letting me serve on this esteemed Bhagavad platform. To all the organizers, I please accept my humble obeisances and also my heartfelt thanks. So today, according to the chronological order, we will be serving Srimad Bhagavatam from canto number 4, which is known as the creation of the fourth order, and it's chapter 30, which is known as the activities of the Prachetas. And today's verse is verse number 2 verses 29 and 30. So I will read the verses and then we will go into the actual translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Yenopashantirbhutanam shulakanama pihatam antarahito antarrudaye kasmano veda nasishaha. The next verse. Asava eva varasmakam ipsito jagata pate prasanno bhagwan yesham apavarga gurura gatihi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. So, the verse number 29, Yena, by which process, upashantihi, satisfaction of all desires, bhutana, of the living entities, shulkana, very much fallen, api, although, itthatam, desiring many things, antarhitaha, hidden, antarudaye, in the core of the heart, kasmat, why, naha, our, veda, he knows, na, not, asishaha, desires. When the Lord, out of His natural compassion, thinks of His devotee, by that process only are all desires of the neophyte devotee fulfilled. The Lord is situated in every living entity's heart. Although the living entity may be very insignificant, the Lord knows everything about the living entity, including all his desires. Although we are very insignificant, why should the Lord not know our desires? The next verse. Aso varo asmakam ipsito jagatapate prasanna bhagwan yesham apavarga gurur gatihi. So that eva certainly varaha benediction asmakam our ipsitah desired jagatah of the universe pate, O Lord, prasannaha satisfied, bhagwan the supreme personality of Godhead, yesham with whom Apavarga of transcendental loving service. Guruhu, the teacher, Gatihi, the ultimate goal of life. O Lord of the universe, you are the actual teacher of the science of devotional service. We are satisfied that your Lordship is the ultimate goal of our life, and we pray that you will be satisfied with us. That is our benediction. We do not desire anything other than your full satisfaction. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Samsara Dava Nala Lila Loka Tranaya Karunya Ghana Ghanatvam Praptasya Kalyana Gunar Navasya Vande Guroho Shri Charnar Vindam Yasya Prasadat Bhagavad Prasadam Yasya Aprasadan Na Gati Kutopi Dayan Stuam Yasya Stri Sanjam Vande Guru Shri Charnar Vindam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I will actually go through Srila Prabhupada's purport along with the reflections. Therefore, I am not reading the purport all at one time. So about this, I generally like to quickly summarize about the chapter so that those who are not present in the past or missed a few days, they can kind of at least get the essence. And we can also kind of build the mood of what is happening in this particular chapter. So in this chapter, there is this conversation is between Vidurji and Maitreya Muni, the Samvad. Wonderful personalities, perfect disciple, perfect guru. This is very important to understand that whenever there is, just like in the Bhagavad Gita, perfect guru is Sri Krishna. And in this particular verse, this mention is given that Krishna is the universal preceptor. He is the Jagat Guru. And Arjun was the perfect disciple. Sukdev Goswami, the perfect guru, and the perfect disciple, Sri Parikshit Maharaj. So when that combination happens, it is always very auspicious and it is always very beneficial to all the listeners. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, as we know, that there were 60,000 rishis that had gathered to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam that was being spoken. So, and then Sutta Goswami was assigned on behalf of all the rishis to ask the questions, so that, you know, all the questions that he would ask would not only, and Sukdev Goswami Pad appreciates those questions because those questions are not only beneficial to himself, but to everyone listening. So this entire Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, etc., they are full of questions and answers that are beneficial to mankind. So Vidurji, when he leaves home after he was being insulted by Duryodhan and his brother Dhritarashtra did not basically heed his valuable advice, and he was insulted. There were a lot of insults inflicted upon him. You know, he just could not bear that, and he could not see the war happening, so he left home. And the best thing that he could do is get the association of pure Vaishnavas. And he was very fortunate by the mercy of Paramatma Maitreya Rishi, he met Maitreya Rishi, and he's asking these wonderful questions about creation, about the order of creation, and etc. And like this, after inquiring from Maitreya Muni, Vidurji is asking that you formally spoke about the sons of Prachenbari and informed me that they satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead by chanting a song composed by Lord Shiva. And what did they achieve in this way? So like this, this was a wonderful question that devotees always ask, that in relation to the pastimes of the Supreme Lord and the Vaishnavas. Like for example, in Ramayana it is said that Lord Shiva glorifies Mother Parvati by saying, Dhanya Dhanya Giriraj Kumari Puchata Hari Katha Prasanga Surasuri Pavana Ganga. Basically, what it means is that you're so full of glory. All glories to you, O Parvati. All glories to you. Dhanya Dhanya. Twice, Lord Shiva is glorifying his own wife, Parvati Devi. For what reason? Because she's taking good care of his personal needs? No. He's saying Dhanya Dhanya Giriraj Kumari. Giriraj Kumari means Parvati. The Parvat Raja, the daughter is known as Parvati. Like the daughter of Janaka Raja is known as Janaki or Mother Sita. So similarly, Parvati is known as the daughter of Parvat or the Giriraj. Giriraj means the king of the mountains. So Dhanya Dhanya, all glories to you, O Giriraj Kumari. Why? Because Puchata Hari Katha Prasanga. You are asking wonderful pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So not only that, whenever Lord Shiva spoke, when Mother Parvati always used to ask him different pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, many rishis used to gather, just like in the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. Although when Lord Shiva spoke, many rishis and many saintly personalities used to gather just to hear the nectar of the pastimes, or the sweet pastimes of the Supreme Lord through the lotus lips of Lord Shiva. So therefore, Lord Shiva was inspired by the questions of his wife, and therefore his wife was very glorious. Puchata Hari Katha Prasanga, asking the glories of the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And it is like Sursuri Pavana Ganga. The pastimes of the Supreme Lord are just like the Ganges that is flowing from the celestial from the Vaikuntha Loka, from the Viraja, from the Karanadaksha Jala that is purifying, that is purifying the three worlds. So that is exactly what the effect of hearing Harikatha is. The cause and effect. The cause being Parvati Devi here, and the inspiration being Parvati Devi, and the cause being Lord Shiva speaking of Harikatha. So similarly, Vidurji is asking these questions that what happened like the sons of Prachenbari. So the sons of Prachenbari, they had actually been advised by the father Prachenbari to perform austerities, and they performed severe austerities by actually for 1,000 years, or perhaps even more, in the water. And when they did that, Lord Shiva, being so pleased with him, Lord Shiva gave them a very special mantra known as the Rudra Mantra. So the philosophy also here is that when we receive the mantras or the instructions in parampara by pure Vaishnavas, it is extremely effective. Dharmasya tattva nihitam guhyam mahajana jena kathasapanta. The secrets of dharma are eternally nihitam guhyam. They are very secretive. Not everybody can understand it. A lot of people can speculate about dharma, but mahajana jena kathasapanta, one who follows in the footsteps of the Mahajans, one who understands dharma from the Mahajans, one who understands Shastra from the Mahajans, then one can attain perfection. And we are very fortunate that we have a great Mahabhagavat. We are in this parampara of the Brahma-Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, wherein Sri Krishna is the head of our Sampradaya, along with Lord Brahma, Naradji, Vyasdev, Madhvacharya, Madhendra Puri path coming in disciplic succession, all the way down to number 32 in line of pure devotion, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So when we receive our mantras, our kirtan from a personality like Srila Prabhupada, it is perfect, it is pure, it is as it is. And therefore, our perfection is guaranteed as long as we stick to his instructions and we follow in his footsteps and we follow his instructions. This is extremely important to understand. So, because the sons of Prachenbari, the Prachetas, they followed the instructions of Lord Shiva and took very sincerely the Rudra Geet or the mantra that was bestowed upon them by the mercy of Lord Shiva, how could not the Supreme Lord not give them, a special kripa or benedictions or mercy? And by that, when they performed these austerities and chanted the mantras given by Lord Shiva, the Supreme Lord personally appeared in front of the Prachetas. So, having thus appeared in front of the Prachetas uh, offered wonderful prayers. So this is something that we all have to learn. One of the things that about learning scripture, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, is how to pray. We have to learn how to pray from the wonderful Vaishnavas, from the devotees. Like we see, like how Mother Dehuti in the third canto, she's praying. We should follow in the footsteps. How in this chapter, like how and then how Dhruv Maharaj prays when the Lord appears in front of Dhruv Maharaj. And then here how the Prachetas are praying. And like that, great personalities like Prahlad Maharaj, etc., how they are praying, how Lord Brahma is praying, how Indra is praying to the Supreme Lord, which establishes that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is one of the most important tattvas. Most people, even in Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism, have no idea. They think that all gods are one, and that is what we have been taught, for instance, our childhood. So that, that kind of a perception and that kind appeals to everyone. And so many so-called spiritual leaders are also giving the same kind of message to the public at large, who are completely or hardly, they are of a very poor fund of knowledge, not knowing the position of Sri Krishna. Yasmin tuste jagatyusta. They do not study scripture, or they have not heard scripture as it is. They are not fortunate enough to hear scripture as it is from pure personalities or from their teachings, and therefore they are misguided. Prayana alpa ayusha rajan manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hi upadrita. These are the symptoms in Kali Yuga. They are getting worse and worse day by day. The life is diminished. Prayana alpa ayusha manda sumanda matayo. People are lazy. And sumanda matayo. Sumanda matayo means they are misguided. And upadrita. Above all, they are also very disturbed. So, those of us who are very fortunate to be guided properly, it is indeed our past sukriti, it is indeed our past pious activities, or perhaps nothing. It is just ahituki kripa that we have got the association of Srila Prabhupada and his sincere followers through his Vani. So like this, the appearance of the Lord satisfied due to the mercy of Lord Shiva on the Prachetas was out of pure compassion. The Lord appears and the Prachetas offer wonderful prayers to the Lord. So right now in the 29th and 30th verse, those prayers continue. The Prachetas saying that Yena upashanti bhutanam shulkanam api ihitam antarhita antaha rudaye kasmad na veda na asisaha. So when the Lord, out of his natural compassion, so this is one very important thing. Upashantihi bhutanam shulkanam api ihitam antaritaha antarudaye kasmat. Prabhupada mentions out of natural compassion. So this is the quality of the Lord. What is that natural compassion? It is just like even if a child is not on a good footing or a relationship, and even if the child sometimes even hates the parents, genuine parents will always, no matter what, have natural compassion and love for the child. No matter how they behave, no matter what their relationship may be. Similarly, because we are parts and parcels of Sri Krishna, Mamayam Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Eternally, we are part and parcels of Sri Krishna. We are a part of the Supreme Lord. So how is it that he cannot have that natural compassion for us? He has so much natural compassion for us that by that process, even if the devotee simply desires like this, a neophyte devotee, the word that has been used here is upashanti, for the satisfaction or the desire of bhutana, the living entities. And another word that has been used in this verse is shulkanam. Shulkanam means one who is extremely fallen. How is it that the Lord who is situated within the heart may not fulfill their desires, although they are, although we are insignificant? So, like this, in this 29th verse, the Prachetas are praying, and in the purport, Srila Prabhupada very meticulously, amazingly, the purports of Bhaktivedanta purports are full of nectar. Actually, Srila Prabhupada's purports need so much meditation in order to, actually, when we reflect on Srila Prabhupada's words and purports, so many things are revealed if we do it in the proper mood. And the first mood should be is humility. So Prabhupada mentions in this purport, a very advanced devotee does not think of himself as advanced. So similarly here, the Prachetas who had already attained that advancement because of the mercy of Lord Shiva, because of the mercy of Lord Shiva, and because of the darshan of the Supreme Lord, they are already attained perfection. But although they had attained perfection, they are calling them nil shulkanam, meaning they are very, 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 very fallen or very neophyte. So an advanced devotee does not think himself to be advanced. He is always very humble. Like Srila Prabhupada, he appeared to be like outwardly a thunderbolt, and which is the duty of a fiduciary duty of an acharya or a guru. Guru means heavy. One of the meanings of guru is heavy. In Sanskrit, if we translate into English, guru means one who removes darkness. And darkness cannot be removed so easily. One has to have, and what does Shishya mean? Shishya means one who accepts sashan. Sashan means the discipline or instructions from a guru. So that is the job of a guru. And that is the guru always is out of compassion. He chastises. So Prabhupada appeared like a solid thunderbolt whenever he spoke, and whenever people spoke nonsense and that was against the principles of pure devotion. That is what we are known for. That is what our parampara is known for. That is what his Guru Maharaj, his Divine Grace, Nitya Lila Pravisto Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada was known for. Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harini. In his Pranam Mantra, the last line is Rupa Nuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harini. In Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra, that anything that was against in the line of pure devotion of the followers of Rupa Goswami, he would cut to pieces. He would simply, with the pure devotional conclusions, with the Bhakti Vedanta conclusions, he would simply cut to pieces anything that was viruddha or opposite the conclusions of pure devotion. So that is also great humility that can sometimes be expressed in the form of a thunderbolt. But otherwise, if you look at Srila Prabhupada's life, there are so many incidences in his personal life, how humble he was. Sometimes when the devotees came and they reported to Srila Prabhupada, today Srila Prabhupada, the Chaitanya Charitamrita was translated in another language, say perhaps French, or Srimad Bhagavatam was translated in Spanish. And Srila Prabhupada, when he saw the copy of the Spanish version or the other languages besides English, the different translations of his books of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, etc., he would hold those books to his chest and tears would roll down down his cheeks, and he would sometimes say in a choked voice that, look how kind my Guru Maharaj is, that my Guru Maharaj sent you young boys and girls to assist me. Otherwise, what can an old man like me do? And this is what he used to express to his own disciples. This is humility. A pure Guru or a Shuddha Acharya, that is one of the lakshanas of Guru. A Guru will never take any credit for himself because he knows that he has received this in parampara. Praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya. Praptasya means he is obtained. Praptasya kalyana means that auspiciousness. Gunarnavasya, the ocean of transcendence, he has obtained that from the bona fide parampara. And therefore I offer my obeisances Vande Guroho Sri Charnarvindam. It is plural. When we sing the Mangalarti, it is not Vande Guru Sri Charnarvindam. Some of us are mispronouncing. It is Vande Guroho. It is to all those wonderful personalities that Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad is offering his obeisances. So, like this, Srila Prabhupada was so humble. His humility was amazing. And also, if we remember in that poem which he had hidden, when he was on the Jaldut, I'm sure some of you devotees may be very familiar with that poem, Markine Bhagavat, that he had composed in Bengali, in Bangla, when he was on the ship Jaldut on his way to the United States. And when he docked, the ship was far, seeing the coast or the skyline of Boston Harbor. When the ship was anchored, waiting to get a berth, he composed this poem, Markine Bhagavat, where there is so much humility. This poem is so full of humility that he was mentioning at the end. Prabhupada, the essence of this poem is, my dear Sri Krishna, why have you brought me here to this Western world where the people are full of tamogun and rajogun in the mode of ignorance and passion? I'm sure there is some purpose. That is why you brought me here. So if you have brought me here, then, please make my speaking in such a way that these people who are in the mode of ignorance and passion, they will understand the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vasudeva Katharuchi. They will get the taste of Srimad Bhagavatam, the nectarian taste of Sri Krishna's pastimes. Please, I have been given the title of Bhakti Vedanta, but I do not have any bhakti, or I do not have any transcendental knowledge. So Prabhupada writes that in that poem, expressing his deep humility. And he also further says, there's so many wonderful things. At the end, he says that, please make me dance, please make me dance, please make me dance. Nachate, nachate ami. Please, as you wish, please make me dance, O Krishna. Now that you have brought me here, the most insignificant beggar signed A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada on board the Jaldut ship, September of 1965. So Srila Prabhupada, through that prayer, we get a glimpse of that humility. The more advanced the devotee, the more humble he is, and all acharyas are very humble, although they may look like thunderbolts. The humility is so important. And I cannot drive this because we all have to learn this. His Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, used to, whenever any of even his own disciples used to bow down, he used to very softly utter, Daso Asmi, I am your servant. Which Guru would do that to that disciple? So this is the bhav. And this is the bhav. Srila Prabhupada internally used to bless his disciples for taking this task of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's vision under his guidance, but he never personally took credit. That is humility. He always felt that he was fallen, that I do not have any knowledge. I have been given the name of Bhakti Vedanta. This Bhakti Vedanta is a very, very prestigious title. Please try to understand. This is not some ordinary title. There are, in our school of Sanatana Dharma, there are two major schools of thought. One is the personalism and the other one is impersonalism. The personalism is the Vaishnavas, who consider that Krishna is the real person. Krishna has got real transcendental qualities, etc. And there are his real sweet pastimes. He has a real dham. He has all, and the existence of Sri Krishna and all the jivas is eternal. It is not that at some point when we attain perfection, we will become him, so aham, like the Mayavadi say, I am he, or I have become one with him. and the merging into the Brahman is considered as the highest. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport of the second verse of the 30th verse here about emerging into the Brahman as well, which we will try to touch upon based on on how much time is left over. But this is a very, very important point that I really need to drive home, not only for the audience, but also for myself, because the importance of the humility that has been expressed by the Prachetas is a paramount of how they feel and how a pure devotee or how devotees should feel. So like this, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that I am your servant anytime somebody bowed down. So like this, even Bhaktivinoda Thakur, if we examine Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers, they are amazing. Most of them, if you look at them, especially in the section of Sharanagati book, where there are so many wonderful prayers. Again, I mentioned that we have to have affection and love for our Gaudiya Acharyas. When we have that, we will learn so many things. When we learn the prayers of the Acharyas, it is the outpouring of their hearts. It is the outpouring of how they pray to Sri Krishna, like how the Prachetas are praying to the Supreme Lord, how Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed. In one of the bhajans that I remember, it is so full of humility that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is expressing in the section of Dainya in Sharanagati. He's saying, Amara Jivana Sada Pape Rata Nahi Ka Punyera Lesha Parera Udvega Diyachi Je Koto Diyachi Jivera Klesha. My whole life, Amar Jivan Sada Pape Rata. It's full of sins. Nahi ka punyara lesha. You will not find even a shred of piety. Parera udvega diyachi je koto. I've always given miseries to others. Diyachi jivara klesha. I've always given trouble and miseries to others, to all the jivas. Nija sukha lagi pape nahi dori. For my own sense gratification, for my own happiness, I always resorted to sinful activities. Dayahina swartha para. I have always been without any mercy and always full of selfishness, material selfishness. Para sukhe dukhi. Whenever I saw somebody happy, I became envious. I became very, very dukhi. I became morose or sad. I became very distressful by looking at the happiness of others. Sada mithya bhashi para dukkha sukha karo. And always I spoke lies. Mithya bhashi. I am a perpetual liar. Para dukkha sukha karo. And when somebody was dukhi, when somebody became miserable, I took great joy in it. I became very happy. Ashesha kamna Ridhi maje more. And there are so many material desires within my heart. Krodhi, Damba, Parayana. What are my qualities? I'm full of anger. I'm full of deceit. Mada matta sata. I'm always intoxicated in Vishaya Mohita and always illusioned by Vishaya with material objects, with materialism. Himsa, Garva, Vibhushana. And what is my jewelry or decoration? Himsa. That is the himsa. It can be in the term of what is the word for himsa in English? Himsa means violence. It can be either physical violence or it can also mean violence through words. Garva, vibhushana. Garva means false pride. That is my vibhushan. Vibhushan means my decoration or my jewelry. Nidra alasya hata sukarya virata. Nidra alasya hata, full of sleepiness and full of laziness. Sukarya virata, without any good activities. Akarya udyogiyami, and I'm always making different plans of how to do bad things. Akarya udyog. Udyog means a factory. Udyogi, I'm a factory of how to commit more and more wrong things. A pratishta lagiya satya acharana. I am full of self-aggrandizement and pratishta, false, pride and satya acharana, bad behavior, lobha hata sadakami, full of material greed and always full of material desire sadakami. Ehano durjana sajjana varjita. I'm such a durjana, somebody who is so fallen that sajjana varjita, somebody who is gentlemanly would never associate with me. They would give me up. They would never associate with aparadhi nirantara. I am an offender, nirantara, perpetual offender. Like this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in humility is praying, Nana dukkhe jara jara, full of different miseries. Bardhyak ke ekhon upay vihina, and now in this old age, without any recourse or without any solution, tate dina kinchana. I'm sitting in front of you, my dear Lord, bereft of any good qualities, in humility. Bhakti Vinoda Prabhura Charane. At the lotus feet, Bhakti Vinod Thakur of Sri Krishna is falling down. Kore Dukkha Nivedana. He is telling his tale of woe, is Dukkha Nivedana. The miseries that he has gone through in his life. He is praying that now what will happen to me. So this is the humility that Thakur Bhakti Vinod. And who is Thakur Bhakti Vinod? We should know who our Gaudiya Acharyas are. They are actually very, very amazingly special. Last time I believe I mentioned, I touched on that our Gaudiya Acharyas are actually very special gopis. They are actually Pran Sakhis of Radharani in their eternal pastimes in Golok Vrindavan, or whenever they appear in Bhaumya Vrindavan. That is why whenever our Acharya departs, when we call the Jayadvani, we say Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramhansa such and such Acharya ki Jai. Nitya Leela Pravishta means one who has entered into the eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So that eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna is when they are re-established in their original position as Manjuris. These Manjuris are so dear to Radharani that even the Ashtasakis like Lalita and Vishakha, they cannot sometimes enter into the Nikunjas, into the bowers of Sri Vrinda, in the growers, when they are performing their Nikunja Yuno Rati Keli Siddhyai, when they are performing their Nikunja Leelas. And at that time, so that, they feel comfortable, the elderly gopis or the bigger gopis in age, like Lalita, Vishakha, the gopis who are almost the age of Radharani, they leave the kunja so that Radha Krishna can perform their amorous pastimes. But they still need seva. They still need, when Radharani sometimes is in her man and Krishna is crying and Radharani is crying and her voice is choking, she needs to be pacified with some fanning of the charmer, or she needs nice cooling water, or she needs the napkin to wipe her tears. So these little manjaris who are the little gopis, or like I mentioned last time, the tulsis are the kind of representatives of the gopis. And if we look at the little budding flowers, they are known as the manjaris. Actually, manjaris are small gopis that are assisting Radha and Krishna, especially in their most intimate pastimes. So sometimes these intimate pastimes are not even known to the Ashtasakis. So when they come out of the Nikunja Leelas, all the Ashtasakis, they gather around these Manjaris and ask Rupa Manjari, or ask Lavanga Manjari, or ask Vilas Manjari, or they ask, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur is known as Kamla Manjari, what happened inside? Did our Radhaji, was Krishna Shyam Sundar able to pacify her? Did she finally, because Shyam Sundar is so adept at wonderful jokes, that finally I'm sure our Praneshwari, Radharani, must be very pleased finally. Tell us more, what happened? So some of these most intimate pastimes, they are privy to our Acharyas, just like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is Nayana Manjari. So they are so humble, and of course we do not know the eternal position of Srila Prabhupada, but although through the inference, when we study his pranam mantra and when we meditate on his writings and the love that he has, and attachment that he has shown towards the Acharyas, he is indeed one of the Manjaris that is assisting his Guru Maharaj in his eternal form, Nayana Manjari, and Nayana Manjari is assisting Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who is Guna Manjari. Guna Manjari is also Raghunath Das Goswami. So like this, it is the whole parampara that we have. They are amazing. We have to understand what we stand for. what is our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara? Sometimes I kind of repeat these things because it is so important. Especially preachers in our movement should touch upon these topics. We are not talking about going into the Pancha Maharasa Dhyay or the 5 important chapters or straight away jumping into the 10th canto of the Ras Leela. No, but this is also Tattva. That who we are, what school we are admitted, what or university of theism we are admitted into, and how fortunate we are. And although they are Radharani's most intimate servants, how humble they are. Because Radharani herself is humble. Anything that is against Radharani is called aparadha. Radha and apa means opposite of Radha. So as devotees, practicing devotees, this very important point of humility is most important, and that is what attracts Sri Krishna. Like this, we have to, like this, the Prachetas attracted even more the compassion or the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord being so pleased with them, he basically gave them darshan. So further, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his plenary expansion as Paramatma or Super Soul, it is mentioned that he sits in everyone's heart in this verse, Antaridaye, and he can understand the attitude and desires of his devotee. This is also a very significant part of this verse. Sri Krishna, who is in Golok Vrindavan very quickly, he actually expands to his left as Srimati Radharani, and his right on the right, he simultaneously expands as Lord Balram. And this Lord Balram, he further expands from Golok Vrindavan into 2 quadruple expansions as Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And the first quadruple expansion is in the eternal Mathura. I think somebody's microphone is not muted. My dear devotees, please mute your microphone so that others do not get disturbed. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So Balramji, he expands himself into quadruple expansions into Mathura and Dwarka. This is in the eternal Vaikuntha Lokas. And then further, the Sankarshan of the second quadruple expansion that is in Dwarka further expands into all the different avatars, including Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu's avatar is Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and Garbhodakshayi Vishnu's avatar is Shirodakshayi Vishnu, or well known as Paramatma. He expands himself into as many living entities in this world as Paramatma. He travels along with them, and also he expands himself into every atom. It is mentioned in the Brahma Samhita, Andan Paramanu Chayantarvasta Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He is present in every atom. And therefore, those who have studied science understands that the structure of the atom has got a nucleus, a proton, and the basic structure is nucleus, electrons, and protons. And they are actually going around in a very, very high speed. Where is that energy coming from? Because within the nucleus, just like the heart of the atom, Paramatma is present. If you all look at the wonderful painting or the picture on Ishopanishad, Srila Prabhupada's Ishopanishad, you will see that the forearm Paramatma is standing and around in the heart of the nucleus of an atom, and the protons and electrons, the structure of the atom is shown. So we see, and just as a side note, when the demoniac people, when they want to break that atom, which is called a nuclear explosion, they are actually forcing the Paramatma out of the atom. And therefore that creates tremendous energy. And that energy creates that explosion. And that is what is called an atomic or a nuclear, excuse me. against the will, but by the sanction of the Lord. The demoniac forces, they use the unnatural state by breaking the nucleus or the atomic structure, causing a nuclear devastation. Anyways, so this Supreme Personality of Godhead is Paramatma, who is within the heart of everyone, understands the desire of the devotee. And when they understand when the Supreme Lord understands the desire of the devotee, like for example, when Brahma prayed for you to come and protect the universe, you have now appeared in this, like the gopis say, that that you are the Paramatma, like Nakhala Gopika Nandano Bhavan Akhila Dehinam Antaratma Dhruv. In the Gopi Geet, 4th verse, the gopis are saying, when they were separated from Krishna, that Akhila Dehinam Antaratma Dhruv, you are the indwelling witness in the hearts of all embodied souls. So the same thing the Prachetas are saying, that that you are the Paramatma, you are the super soul who knows the desires. Similarly, the gopis are also playing that you should know our desires, that how much we are in pain due to your separation. Thus, if a devotee with all confidence goes on discharging the prescribed duties of devotional service, he will ultimately attain success. This is what Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport. This is very important, that when we are actually satisfying Sri Krishna, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions in the Sistastakam, in the very first verse, Sarvatma Snapannam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Sarva Atma. Again, Sarva Atma means that Atma or that super soul or Paramatma who is present in everyone. Snapannam, when one actually with a lot of devotion, when one bathes the Supreme Lord with their pure loving devotion, then through the Sankirtan, then that is the success of Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So that is what Srila Prabhupada is saying, that if a devotee with full confidence goes on discharging the prescribed duties of devotional service, he will ultimately attain success. Param Vijayate, Vijayate, the success of the Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Then in the next verse, it is mentioned that, O Lord of the universe, Jagatapate. This is very important, significant. There's another verse in the Shastras that it says, Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. We say that Krishna is the universal preceptor. And we know that our first guru in our Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya is Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is the one, if we look at the cover of Brahma Samhita, he is the one who gave the transcendental knowledge, material and spiritual knowledge to Lord Brahma through the Kam Gayatri, through the Gopal Mantra. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, if we read the previous chapters before the 27th verse of Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha, beautifully Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, verses 1 through 26, he has explained how the mercy of Sri Krishna was, by how Brahma obtained the mercy of Sri Krishna, and including the Kam Gayatri mantra to fulfill his transcendental desires, and how he reveals Golok Vrindavan to him through the flute, through the playing of his flute. The transcendental sound vibration, Lord Brahma, was initiated by Lord Sri Krishna. So he is the Jagatpate and the Guru of the science of devotional service. So, and not only that, who else is that? If we think about it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, isn't he our preceptor? He brought not only the general, like Krishna Vande Jagat Guru, who has actually Dharmantu Sakshat Bhagavad Pranitam. All this Dharma, all these Shastras, or all the words of Krishna, they're the words of the Supreme Lord. Who is Vyasadeva? Vyasadeva is the incarnation of Mahavishnu. All the books that he has compiled, the Vedas and the Puranas and the Upanishads, etc., they are compiled by the Supreme Lord. They are eternal. Dharmantu Sakshat Bhagavad Pranitam. And what did Mahaprabhu do? He is Sri Krishna himself in the mood of Radha. This is the pinnacle. Yadi Gauranga hoite tabe ki hoito kemone dharitam de Radhara mahima prema rasa sima jagat janat de. Vasudeva Ghosh, one of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has mentioned that in one of his bhajans. Beautiful. That if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not appeared, who would have known Radhara Mahima? the glories of Radharani, Prema Rasa Sima. Who would have known the pinnacle or the zenith of Prema, the topmost Prema of Madhurya Rasa, which is the pinnacle amongst the theism or the school of bhakti. Now, who would have known that? So that Krishnam Vande Jagadguru came in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. The most munificent of all. He is even more munificent than Sri Krishna himself, than Shyam Sundar himself, that he has come in the mood of Radha, because there is nobody as compassionate as Radharani. So here the word Jagatpate Guruhu, Apavarga Prasannaha. Apavarga, here Srila Prabhupada mentions that Apavarga means the liberation. Pavarga, Prabhupada mentions, means material existence. And there is also Favarga. Fa means feigned. Prabhupada has explained in some of his purports. Feigned means the foam. When somebody works very hard, like let's say a donkey or a horse. I don't know if you have ever seen that. When a horse runs very fast and he's burdened with a lot of load, or a donkey, he is actually profusely not only sweating like sweat, but if you look at it, one time I remember in my childhood when I used to go horse riding on the beach, and then when the horses were very, very, like in very full speed, and when they came to a stop, the caretaker of the horse used to take the little whip, and I could see the foam coming out from the horse's mouth, and also foam coming out from all of the body. He used to take the whip and simply wipe the belly of the horse, and we could see the white foam that was there. I clearly still remember that. So that is called Favarga. Like even when we are working very hard like donkeys, Prabhupada mentions here that our life, when we are simply working like cats and dogs, even a human being foams from the mouth. So that is called Favarga, and then there is Pavarga. Pavarga means material existence, and that also means the heavenly planets. But Apavarga means liberation. So in material existence, Srila Prabhupada mentions, one always works very hard, but is ultimately baffled. That is so true. One dies and has to accept another body to work again and again, hard again and again. That is samsara. The meaning of samsara is, it is a vicious cycle of birth and death, a vicious cycle of material existence. And this is the cycle of material existence Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport. Srila Prabhupada also mentions that Apavarga means just the opposite. Liberation means instead of working hard like cats and dogs, one returns home back to Godhead. Very significant. The Rishabdev, one of the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, mentions this to his sons. Nayam deho bhajan niloke kastan kaman arhate vitta bhujan ye tapo divya putraka yena sattvam shuddha yed yasmad brahma sokhya tva anantam. This was one of Prabhupada's well-quoted verses. Lord Rishabdev told his sons, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form of life should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is known as Pavarga or Favarga, which is available. This day and night hard work, which is also available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. Vitta bhujami. Vitta means stool. Even the hog is working very hard. Where is fresh stool? Where is fresh stool? Prabhupada used to mention this quite a bit. If you give them nice puri and jalebis, they will smell it, but they will reject it. But they are always looking for where is stool, where is stool, where is stool. So like that, like this Rishabdev is saying that one should, when we have been awarded, the word is being used, awarded. It is so rare that it is awarded this human form of life. One should not work day and night so hard simply for sense gratification like dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service, tapo divya putraka, and which is what the Prachetas did. Following the instructions of their father, they performed severe austerities underwater for several thousands of years. And by such activity, what will happen? Shuddha yed yasmad brahma sokyam to anantam. One's heart is purified. And when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. Tva anantam. Anantam means, Rishabdeva says, is eternal. Like Krishna says, that one who comes to me from the material world into the spiritual, tattva punarjanmaneti mam eti, so Arjuna, he will never be reborn in this material world. So liberation begins, Prabhupada mentions now for the Jnanis, just a few more words left on this particular 30th verse. Liberation begins with merging into the Brahmal effulgence of the Supreme Lord. So most of the people, like I mentioned earlier, there are two schools of thought, personalism and impersonalism. The impersonalists want to merge into the Brahman of the Lord or the effulgence of the Lord, thinking that they have attained the highest position. Aru akruchena patati vimuktamanena patati adaha. Brahmaji says that these Mayavadis, they think when they have attained Brahma Jyoti, they think that they are liberated, vimuktamanena. But at the end, patanti adaha, they fall down, they come back into the material world. So Prabhupada mentions that for those who are studying the Vedas, they are called Vedantists, especially from the Mayavadi perspective. And those who study the Vedas from the pure devotional service are called Bhakti Vedantists. And Bhakti Vedantists is a very, very amazing title that was given to Srila Prabhupada. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. That is what he was getting. Actually, his name is, when he got the sannyas, his name was very simple. I'm sure most of you all know, but for those who don't know, he was given the name by his senior godbrother, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. He was given the name Swami Maharaj. Just like we have our Guru Maharajas, like my Guru Maharaj is Nitya Lila Pravishta Bhakti Charu Maharaj, or somebody else's is Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So Prabhupada's sannyas name was Swami Maharaj, but he was known as Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj because he was given this special title because of the pure devotional conclusions. Vedanta, Ved means knowledge, knowledge of the Vedas, and Anta means conclusion. What is the conclusion of the Vedas? Srila Vasudev compiled all the Vedas, Upanishads, and so many auxiliary literatures, and then he also compiled the Vedanta, the conclusion, ultimate conclusion. But unfortunately, in the Mayavad school of thought, they have given a completely different dimension or a conclusion that at the end of the day, when we attain purification, then we become one with He. So aham, the aham brahmasmi. They misunderstand the meaning of the Vedanta, and the purports of the Vedants are only given to the pure Vaishnavas. Although the words are the same, the Sanskrit grammar is the same, but the meanings of the purports are different. Therefore, Shankaracharya Pad, who is Lord Shiva himself, mentions Bhaja Govinda, Moodamate, Samprapte, Samita Kale, Nahi Rakshate Dur Karne. He started seeing that his followers are simply going into the studying the Vedanta and the Vedas with so much grammatical analysis, and their conclusion being the impersonalism. So he said when he left, Bhaja Govinda. Govinda means the pleasure giver of the senses of the devotees and the pleasure giver of the cows. Govinda Vadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The source of everything, Janmadi Yasya, which is Vedanta, which is the Vedanta Sutra, the very first sutra, that everything emanates from you, O Sri Krishna. So all these conclusions, when Shankaracharya Pad was leaving his body, he says, Bhaja Govinda, Moodamate, oh you fools, please worship Govinda. Samprapti samhita kale nahi rakshati dukkarne. Your scholarship and the grammatical analysis that you are doing of the Vedas and the different conclusions that are impersonalism that you have drawn out of studying the Vedas is not going to help you at the time of death. Beautiful. There's a wonderful pada or many verses that Shankaracharya Pad ji mentioned to his disciples, but they did not catch it. Even today, the followers of Shankaracharya Pad, they're all impersonal. So it is only when we get the pure kripa of pure Vaishnavas, we can enter into personalism. Because impersonalism is something that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said is Mayavadi Krishna Aparadhi. Please try to understand that. And then there are so many speakers of the Shastras also who speak, who are Mayavadi speakers, big names who speak Bhagavad Gita, big well-known personalities where there are millions and thousands of followers who publish their Gitas, and but at the end of the day, they are saying that they are one with He, they are one with God, they are Him. And then their conclusion is like that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions, and Prabhupada used to mention this quite a bit, that Bhagavad Shuno Bhagavad Sthane. These are Mahaprabhu's words. One should hear. Bhagavad means scripture Bhagavad or scripture Bhagavad. The scriptures one should hear from a Vaishnava who has realized the real purports of Bhagavad. Because Sanskrit is amazing language and Krishna is Tedo, is Tribhangalalitam. You know, he is so amazing that the same sentence, if he was to give a certain meaning or a purport to somebody who is bent on understanding it from the grammatical perspective, then that purport is revealed to him grammatically 100% correct. There's so many wonderful examples like Sarvabhaumacharya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was known as Sarvabhauma. His title, Bhattacharya, the one who had conquered, the Acharya who had conquered scholarship all over the world, Sarvabhauma. But he was impersonal. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was asked when Sarvabhaumacharya saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a young boy who seems to be in our sampradaya, looking at the Ek Dandi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, took that one danda sannyas from Keshav Bharati Swami, because at that time there were no Vaishnava sannyasis and he had a purpose of preaching the holy name. So he had to take sannyas because people were not taking him very seriously. So at the young age of 24 years in Katwa, he took that sannyas from Keshav Bharati Swami, who was a Mayavad. And this is a very amazing story. Most people cannot understand. A lot of these Shankaracharya paths, they have even blasphemed ISKCON. Recently, I heard about one of the persons who have assumed the Shankaracharya seat. Like every so many years, a new Shankaracharya takes over. Like, you know, they are also called Shankaracharya. So they are the head or the Acharya of their Shankaracharya, the Shankaracharya movement. So the most recent Shankaracharya said that, you know, ISKCON is not bona fide, and he even blasphemed Srila Prabhupada. I recently got a WhatsApp and I was shocked, but internally very elated. Elated that, look, even me who is so insignificant, very insignificant, studying the books of Srila Prabhupada, how much bhakti Srila Prabhupada books has given, that I can understand the conclusion that I am an individual, Krishna is an individual, my individuality will never ever exist to cease be. Bhagavad Gita, that verse in the 2nd chapter, Srila Prabhupada has explained so nicely. What is that verse? That there was never a time when these kings never existed or these soldiers never existed, but they always existed. They're existing now and then, and they will always exist in the future. So like this, he's telling Arjun that our existence is eternal. We can never merge into something or annihilate our existence. And that right there itself, Krishna is talking about the anti-Mayavadism. But the problem is that they don't understand and they translate Sanskrit in such a way grammatically. So Krishna is situated in the heart. When they want to run away from Krishna, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said that even if one who wants to become an atheist, then Krishna situated as Paramatma within their heart, you know, gives them permission to become atheists by giving them the intelligence. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that I am the one who can supply the intelligence or forgetfulness. Matta paran jnanam aponam cha. I can give knowledge and I can also take it away. So an atheist who doesn't want to believe in Krishna or the Lord or the superiority of the Lord, then Krishna gives him the intelligence. You must argue like this. If somebody comes with you, if any Vaishnava with a tilak of ISKCON devotees come and say that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you must argue like that. Use these verses of the Shastra and see how you can argue like that. So like this, Krishna gives that intelligence how to run away from him also, because we misuse our minded independence. This is an amazing theory. When I had actually heard about what Srila Prabhupada said about what his Guru Maharaj used to say. So one has to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead through, they want to approach through the impersonal Brahman, effulgence, and just as one has to approach the sun through the sunshine. So Prabhupada is saying that they are basically entering the sunshine, but they're not able to enter the sun globe, which is the actual planet. And they think that they have entered the sun globe and they have attained the highest. That is what it means. So it is not very difficult to merge into the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. The devotees, when they are purified, when they go through all the different, when they go back home, back to Godhead, you know, their journey, from the earthly planets, the soul passes through all the heavenly planets, and then it enters into the Viraja, where the Karunadaksha Jala, where Karunadaksha Vishnu, Mahavishnu declines, and then beyond goes into the Brahma Jyoti and doesn't get stuck there. Then they enter, because of their pure devotion, they enter into the actual Vaikuntha Lokas, depending on their devotion to which particular lordship, whether it is Lord Narayana, Vishnu, Lord Ramachandra, or it is Dwarkadish or Mathuresh or Shyam Sundar of Golok Vrindavan. So like this, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that our journey doesn't just stop in Brahma Jyoti. So like this is the essence of the 30th verse that we just went through. Like this, we have to understand, Srila Prabhupada mentions that our realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is higher. That is the highest. Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishnir Nitya Das. Not that Jiva becomes Krishna. Bhagavad Suno Bhagavad Sthani. When we hear, so many speakers are there, we see on these different Indian channels that are being broadcast, Astha and whatever those channels are, we see from all different communities in the Sanatana Dharma, they are those speakers, and some of them are Mayavadis, and the explanations that they give, they are so offensive. They are killers of Sri Krishna. Mayavadi Krishna Pradi, Bhagavad Suno Bhagavad Sthane. Because Mahaprabhu says that even they are speaking scriptures, they are speaking the same verses of the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas, but it is just like a serpent or a snake. When a snake touches a pure milk, just a little bit, even if they simply touch it, then one has to reject that milk. The Vedas and the scriptures are pure. The message is pure. But if it is touched by a serpent, then that milk has to be discarded. Similarly, one should discard the explanations or hearing of any kind of scriptures from Mayavadis. Mayavadi Bhashya Sunile, Hoy Sarvanash, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's warning, we will be completely destroyed. And then God knows, Krishna knows, for how many births we will have to wait until a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada comes, Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. When such a personality comes, and only they will be able to deliver personalities like Mayavadis, etc., who can, deliver them from the clutches of my. Extremely difficult to convert Mayavadis. Mayavadis are, because you know what the simple philosophy is, when the gurus are saying that, you don't know, you are God. When you practice properly your sadhana, etc., and ultimately you will become God. That appeals a lot to the populace when they're speaking like that. And when somebody sits on the Vyasa and says, you are an eternal servant of Lord, of God. Eternal, whether you are in the material world or in the spiritual world. Now that doesn't appeal. Which one appeals better? So it all depends on who is explaining and how it is explaining. When one becomes the eternal servant of the Lord will become so much used to that devotee, attracted to the love of that devotee, that the Lord also becomes subservient. Like Lord Krishna actually became the driver of Arjuna. Is it true or not? Due to the devotion of Arjuna. He washed the feet of Sudama because of the devotion of Sudama. He picked up the dirty plates in the Rajasuya Yajna after thousands and thousands of kings and princes and the people and the Brahmanas took their prasadam. Krishna personally picked up all the dirty plates in the Rajasuya Yajna of Duryodhan Maharaj, because Duryodhan was a devotee of Sri Krishna. Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala, but Krishna is also Bhakta Vashya. He is controlled by the love of his devotee. And especially what to talk about the devotees of Vrindavan, the devotees of Raj, he becomes fully controlled. Damodara Bhakti Bhaddam, we study that in the Damodara Ashtakam. He becomes fully controlled by the devotion, pure devotion of his devotee. Gopi, Chachiya Chacha, Gopi and Nacha Nachai, just for a little bit of buttermilk, Krishna danced for us, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of everything, simply danced at the tunes of the gopis, at the wishes of the gopis. This is the highest realization. This is what Srila Prabhupada is talking about. But realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is higher. Jiva Sarup Hoy, Krishna Nityadas. And our Gaudiya Vaishnava realization is, the highest realization is Radha Dasya. Yes, my dear devotees, we generally don't talk about that, but when we study the scriptures of our Vaishnava Acharyas, it is indeed that we are first devotees of Radharani and then of Shyam Sundar. But naturally, because Radharani is so pleased with our service, Shyam Sundar is very pleased. Anything that pleases Radhaji, Shyam Sundar is pleased. Therefore, we automatically by default become devotees of Shyam Sundar. And if we please Shyam Sundar, Radharani is pleased. So this is an amazing Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, kind of like that. But ultimately, we are actually the servants of the service. Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo Dasanu Dasanu Das. There are two meanings of this verse and this particular line, and then I will end here. Gopi Bhartu means the nourishment or the provider of the gopis, providing them everything, love, protection. Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo Dasanu Das. Padaka of the lotus feet of that provider of the gopis, that one who gives so much love to the gopis. Gopi Bhartu, that is Sri Krishna, Shyam Sundar. Pada Kamalayo Dasanu Dasanu Das. I am the servant of the servant of the servant. That is of my identification. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked this question. What is our identification? He says, I am not a sannyasi, I am not a brahmana. And he goes on like that. Then who are you, my dear sir? I am Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalayo Dasanu 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 Das. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Shyam Sundar. But Gopi Bhartu also means, from a very higher rasic point of view, is the gopis of the Bharta of Sri Krishna. So much love they give him that Krishna cannot live without their love. Just like we cannot live without air or water, Krishna is dependent on the gopis. Krishna is dependent on Vraj Bhav. Krishna is dependent on our Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Yes, indeed. So therefore, Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo Dasanu. Dasanu. Dasanu means taking shelter of those wonderful Vaishnavas who Krishna himself, loves to take shelter of. These are very high esoteric topics. Obviously, time is less, so I will end here. That is the highest realization which our Gaudiya Vaishnavas conclude at, beyond the other facets of self-realization. So thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to our Acharyas, all glories to the Prachetas, all glories to Grantraj, Srimad Bhagavatam, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So now I would like to open up the microphone to anybody who would like to, make any corrections, ask any questions. I will try my best based on whatever little information I have. Whatever I have spoken, I hope it has pleased our Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, our sincere followers in our glorious movement. May they all be pleased upon me so that I can continue my seva for my purification. And obviously along the way, whoever else I can inspire. So thank you once again for inviting me to this group and letting me serve Srimad Bhagavatam. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for beautiful class in this morning. Yes, Prabhuji, we are all have to learn how to pray and how to follow the instruction from Guru to the super personality of Godhead. It's very wonderful prayers. And in each point you gave very good example for understanding of us. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. And as a devotee, we are always moved of humility. And
Yes,
you gave a nice example, Prabhuji. The snake will touches the milk, milk all poisonous. And the same way we need to, if you are hearing the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, devotees will purify and devotee will show devotees will attract the Krishna. Krishna will always love the devotees. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. If anybody have any questions, realization, sharing, please go ahead, devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Can you give the power? It's battery low ahead. So
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, very, very beautiful, beautiful class, and started with such a beautiful Kirtan, Prabhu. It was so nice hearing your Kirtan. It was so nice. I felt like I'm in the temple hearing Bhagavad Katha from the temple. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And your examples that you are given for many instances, like you are talking about how it searches for the stool only, not if you give puri and halwa or anything that it will not take. So that is our condition here in this Kali Yuga. We are like, I mean, especially for me, I am like hog, trying to get all the bad things, leaving all the good things by association of devotees. At least, I will try to, inculcate that kind of mood, how to serve devotees and get into Krishna consciousness, Prabhu. Thank you so much for such a beautiful, beautiful class. Everything that you spoke about this Kali Yuga, it's very bad, and we are like Manda Buddhi and Alpha Aisha. We have very less lifespan, and we have to utilize it for Krishna. Please, Prabhuji, pray for us and bless me so that I can utilize my life fully in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Very, very beautiful class, Prabhu. Very beautiful. Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev. Thank you so much. Yes. And humility is very important. We need to feel like that, Although we don't feel that you're like a hog, how can you be like a hog when you are in this glorious movement, when you're studying Srila Prabhupada's books? No, 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 no. Srila Prabhupada cannot produce hogs. But we need to feel like that. But others, we need to know the position of Vaishnavas. So, Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else would like to?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna Shyamagori Mata. Hare Krishna.
A very, very beautiful, beautiful class, Prabhuji. When you started singing, I just felt like you sounds like His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. And yeah. And also you pull off the song like Amar Jeevan Sada Papirata. That
Yes.
one also, that one I always, when I sing that version, I always remember Bhakti Charu Maharaj. It's he sings very nicely, and
Amar Jeevan Sada Pape Rata Nahi Ka Punner Lesha. Amar Jeevan Sada Pape Rata Nahi Ka Punner Lesha. Pare Raudvega Diachi Je Koto Diachi Jivera Klesha Amar Jivana Sada Pape Rata Nahika Punnera Lesha. This is an amazing bhajan. I always encourage myself and devotees, please study the songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas. There's so much in it. The entire essence of the scriptures, the Bhaktivedanta purports, is in the bhajans. So, yes, Mataji, thank you so much. Indeed.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for singing this song. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your enlightening class today, and we are very grateful to you. We look forward to your association again in the future. If nobody have any questions, we can end the call here. Let's pray. Good senses to
Jamadori Mataji, if those who are interested, every Sunday evening, 6:30 p.m., the Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad group, I'm located in Toronto area. If devotees are interested, every Sunday at 6:30 p.m., I can, they can join. We take certain even seminars. So right now, actually, we had decided to do the Damodar Ashtakam seminar in the month of Kartik, but it has overextended now into the 8th session. So almost 2 months today. It will be this evening. So those are it. I have sent you the link, Mataji. If you want, if devotees want, you can just simply forward it to them,
yeah,
and they can bless me by their presence.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful class, Prabhuji. Very nice
All glories
points.
to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to our acharyas. Thank you.
Let's pray obeisance to Prabhuji and all assembled devotees. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhyo patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo
वैष्णवेभ्यो
namaha.
नमो
Grantra
नमः
Srimad
Ananta
Bhagavatam ki jai,
जय
Prabhuji ki jai,
जय
and all assembled devotees ki
ये
jai.
जय दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी हरे कृष्णा दंडवत प्रणाम
And pranam to all of you. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
What is your name, Prabhuji?
Abhiram Sakadas.
Viram Sakha. Hari Bol. Jai.
Jai.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
हरे